Hello, welcome to another F-Car Guy video. Today we'll be looking at hardwiring a dash cam into the power system of this Ferrari FF. The camera that I'm using is a Nextbase 622GW, but to be honest, they're all 12 volt. They all normally use some form of USB connection, so it's a matter of finding a power source in the car and routing it up into its finished mounted location up on the windscreen, just so that we don't have the unsightly cable either dangling from where it's mounted on the windscreen or tucked in between the carpets or all that sort of stuff, and also so it doesn't take up a position in the 12 volt cigarette lighter connection. Just makes it nice and neat. So you might actually notice that it's already connected. Small admission, I actually recorded the video of me fitting this several weeks ago. So what we'll do now is very crudely cut to that now. So the camera that I'm using is a Nextbase 622GW. That comes with the typical cigarette lighter power connector, and then I've gone online and bought their hardwire kit, which gives you positive and negative power connections, this little diagnostic light. I don't quite understand what that does or what it's required for. The typical USB connection, of course, that's a ferrite core. That I'll come back to that, but apparently you install that about 20 centimeters away from the camera because it stops interference in your FM and DAB radio, but we'll forget that. It also comes with these what are they called? Fuse tap cables. Now these are actually quite good. I've never used these before. I've been pretty old school in connecting previous ones, where I've located 12 volt in the car, generally near the fuse, near the cigarette lighter, and I've just actually spliced and soldered into that. But these are fantastic because you can find an appropriate fuse that will power the web camera, take that fuse out, plug this in its place, and what it gives you is a fuse for, I believe, so that the one, if you're looking at it this way, the one at the top is the fuse for the 12 volt supply out to the camera, and the socket just there will be the fuse that you have removed to fit this in, and that will be the fuse for the device that the fuse was originally intended for. So you get this standard size fuse, and you get a mini one. The mini one's not here because it's already in the car. I'll show you that in a sec. Now, if you have an FF, one thing you're really going to want is a Ferrari FF workshop manual. If I remember, I will put a link into it. Otherwise, if you Google it, there's plenty on like Ferrari forums and stuff, plenty of links to it. It's a 941 page document, which it's a crazy document. It's pretty much, if you're from the UK and you know what a Haynes manual is, it's like a Haynes manual, but for the Ferrari. It documents everything from removing the engine to all this electrical stuff and everything really. So with this, I was able to locate the fuse box I want. There's several panels. The one that I'm using is the fuse panel under the steering column, and I'll just go up to the top of it. Okay, so what I'm looking for is anything that's going to give me a 12 volt signal when I've got the keys in the ignition. So funnily enough, the one I wanted turned out to be F44, and it just so happens to be for the cigarette lighter. So I thought that would be a good one to get. So all I had to do was locate F44 on there, These are really weird. They're in absolutely no order whatsoever. 53, 38, 39, 36, 52, 41. Anyway, it's Italian, I guess. So 44's in there somewhere. Anyway, how that translates is right. So steering column. Underneath the steering column. Yeah. I can't seem to turn a light on. I might just pause this and see if I can get light on. Right, so there you can see the little cable that came with the kit. The fuse tap cable, as I should call it. Let's see if I can remove it. Right. So there it is removed. The bottom fuse was the fuse that came out of that socket, so that is the one that it's quite clever really. They've wired it in such a way that even though you've taken one fuse out, it allows you to have two fuses. So that fuse will protect what was currently in there, and then the top fuse protects what runs off of this. Pretty clever actually. So that goes back in there. I won't be able to do it while I'm holding the phone, but anyway, you can see where it's come out from. So I'm going to pop that back in there now. There we are, that's in. So what that gives us now is, turn that off. We turn the full ignition on. Turn off the annoying parking sensors. There you go, so the camera's turned on, which tells me, oh, what's that? That tells me that the cigarette lighter's working. There you go, it's lit up. So we've got cigarette lighter power, but also, if I plug in my 12 volt tester, so I've got an earth off of the door hinge, and I stick that into there, there we go, 12 volts is now coming out of there. So now I've got 12 volt and it's protected with a fuse, which is great. I just need to find somewhere where I can find an earth. So hopefully there's a nice bolt or something that bolts straight into the chassis of the car. I'll have a look and come back. Okay, so I found an earth. As it happens, that, oh, apologies for the light, that, see that there? That bolt with the Allen key head, that bolt, and it already come with that really conveniently big washer, which is great because I've wedged the little spade connection between there. So all I had to do is unscrew it or just slightly loosen it and slotted that in. So now I've got earth, I've got a switched 12 volt supply there which comes on with, I don't want to call it accessories, it is sort of full ignition. I don't know if there is an accessories on a Ferrari. It doesn't, that doesn't actually do anything. In fact, yeah, it's basically that or full ignition. Anyway, to show you, so we've got camera with no power. I've just got it connected up on the floor at the moment. They give you lots of cable. Find out what to do with that in a minute. So now I can yeah, there we go, she's powered up. So much beeping, love it. There we go. Why aren't you turning off? Oh, that is on, that's in parking mode. Okay, yeah, Yeah, there you go. So that's it. So we've done fuse. So what, just to sort of recap again, this, there are two. So they're little grub screws. You can just do those with your hands. That sits, there you go, look at that, I've almost lost another one now. That sits under there. So you can undo that with your hand and it just comes off like that. To reveal this, to reveal the fuses that are in absolutely no order at all, you're looking for fuse 44, which controls the cigarette lighter and, weirdly, the heated passenger seat. Put your mini fuse tap cable in. That will already have the fuse installed into the correct slot for the camera. The fuse that you've removed out of 44 goes into the vacant fuse slot in the new tap connector. That gives you your 12 volt out. Look, you might find another suitable place to get your out, but I've used that. And now we have power. So now it's time to neaten it all up and find a nice route up through here. I generally tend to go through the, well, I think everyone goes through the weather seal, don't they? Yeah, I'll have a fiddle with this and we'll come back. So getting the cable from your source up to the camera might sound obvious, but you really want to be starting from the bottom and going up. The reason for that is the bit of cable that you want to thread through little gaps and holes, you want to be as small as possible, and that is a lot smaller than that box. So keep the box and all that stuff at the bottom, feed through. So the weather strip splits in half about there, so just give that a bit of a yank and pull that out, and what you get is a nice little gap, which I might be able to, oops, sorry, shine the light through. Can you see the light? It's not very good, is it? About to see if I can poke my finger through. There you go, look, you can see my finger. Heaps of room, heaps of room. So we've put one end up through the hole and we've poked out the other end. So we've got that much. I'll pull that through and then we'll see where, well, I imagine best thing to do. Should I pull this off? Yeah, pull it off. Not all of it, just a bit. There we go, just a little bit. And then we'll come up through here, and what I'll probably do is go between the trim to pop out. Oh, I don't know actually. I'll have to have a look. That might have to come off, but I'm sure it's got really brittle plastic clips that hold that in. I'd rather avoid taking that off. I'll investigate and come back. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to remove this piece of trim up here. It's not held on with the normal sort of plastic interior trims that you normally find on like your BMWs and Audis and stuff. I had a pair up here, and I might be able to show it up. I don't mean these screws, but oh, it's going to be tricky to see. Okay, there you go. There are some Torx screws in here, which I thought that would be really good because I'm not going to bust any clips. I just have to undo those screws and I'll be able to undo the trim. Got one of them undone, but unfortunately old Fabio at the factory's over tightened that one there, really over tightened it, so I couldn't do it. I was about to thread the screw and it just wasn't going to happen. So I managed using some interior pry tools and I can't find the other one, but some plastic ones, to just sort of gently move this back enough to feed the cable through up into this side. There you go. So now I'm just going to run that. I'll push it in along there. Oh, where am I going? I'm not going down, am I? I'm going up. I'll push it in, up along there, and into there. That's the hope anyway. Stay tuned. Okay, so another update. I've got the cable running up behind the cowling for the rearview mirror and hidden underneath the roof. And then managed to pry this back enough to hide it so you can't see it here. So it's all completely behind the interior trim. The only bit that's visible is that bit there. So now just tuck that into there. All the way down and so on, and pull that in, and then push all this back on. And that does just push back into place, which is nice. Okay, it's two. There we go, all back together. Zip tied the cables up. Quick reminder, fuse 44 for the power, and the little bolt over there to the left, which I imagine partly holds the fuse assembly in. That's where I found my earth. And before I stick that up, and I'll just point this out to you, that bit there, that's called, I think, a ferret core. Now the idea is, or what it says in the manual of the wiring kit, it says to install that about 20 centimeters away from the camera itself, and what that will do is it will suppress any interference with the FM and DAB radio. I can't, there's nowhere where I can put that up there without it looking unattractive, so I'm going to take a chance and just run it there, really. I'm doing that because I have a little bit of experience with this, in that I installed 422GW camera. It's still in that car over there, BMW 4 Series, and I've got that exactly 20 centimeters away from the camera as the wiring kit suggests, and despite that, the DAB radio signal has been affected. It does cut in and out quite a bit, and I've taken it apart multiple times, and I've tried putting the ferret in all different locations. Simple takeaway from that is the ferret's absolutely rubbish, so don't bother. Anyway, token gesture, the ferret's there. Let's see what he does. We can stick all that back in now. Up in there. There we go. All done. Put that trim back on. Now, full ignition. Oops. Shut the parking sensors up, and the camera's on. Look at that. There we go. Job's done. That wasn't too bad, actually. It was quite easy. I don't know, in all honesty, how many people own an FF who want to fit a dash cam themselves, but hopefully there's someone on the internet who wants to, and they found this helpful.